Welcome back to the Unacceptable News. I'm your host, Justin Bush. Where is a dog that I can have? So today's story is going to be a quick one. It's just a little blurb from Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. So the UFO floodgates have opened up on X or on Twitter, and there are thousands of people in the UFO research community, people from the military releasing information. And I just saw a very interesting tweet, and it's from a guy named Jacques Oil. So it's Jacques, I believe it's Jacques L apostrophe Oeill. He's at Oeill_L. So he said some wild things. Now, let me just read this biography. So it says he's a sonderer, which is a cool word. I looked it up. I had never heard of a sonderer before. It's a person, or at least this is a definition I heard. It's a person that realizes that everybody's life is just as intricate and as theirs, basically. Like you think of yourself as having this kind of experience, this very exciting, or I don't know where to go from here. Anyway, this man, Jacques Oil, says that he is a sonderer. He is a friend to patriots, retired spooks, and visionary scientists, including but not limited to Dr. Hal Puthoff and Dr. Kit Green. So Dr. Harold Puthoff and Dr. Christopher Green. Now, we all know these names in the UFO community, but Jacques says some pretty interesting things in some of his tweets, and I just want to read them to you. He says, let me add this. I have no doubt whatsoever that all of these ongoing UAP and SAPs all fall under the auspices of the loyal Zodiac cult officers. And now he has written a book, apparently, or at least he's put a tweet about a book. It looks like he wrote it. Oh, no, he didn't write it. It's Richard Bell. It looks like Richard Bell Jr. And it says it's a true story about how the ultra-secretive cult inside the Pentagon called the Zodiac assassinated my father, about an anomalous non-human phenomena that seems to oppose the Zodiac. So apparently there's some sort of Zodiac cult inside the Pentagon. Very interesting. But I don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about him saying this: subpoena John Peterson and Ken Dabakowski and Hal, and a great deal of this will be addressed. The U.S. industrial complex is failing badly. He reposted that. It goes on to say, you want to know about the UFO retrieval program? Subpoena Ken Dabakowski and Dr. Harold Puthoff to explain what they witnessed in the dining room of the Arlington Institute in the spring of 2006. When John Peterson asked Hal and I if we would like to be put in contact with a friend of his, an admiral who towed a mile-long spacecraft out of the Pacific. Hal later told me that he thought the candidate was likely Mullen. Ken Dabakowski was John's aide-de-camp. Everyone's eyes were big. The point had been made. Subpoena Peterson, and if he lives to testify, you'll find out more about the UFO retrieval program that you could possibly want. And then, he goes on, some people comment, they ask some questions. But ultimately, this guy is friends with he's friends with Hal Puthoff. We know Hal Puthoff Hal Puthoff and Kit Green were instrumental in a lot of the programs that the government ran into this phenomena. And so this guy is saying, like, I was there at dinner, and, this guy towed a mile-long spacecraft out of the ocean. Now, I don't know if you know how long a mile is, but where would they put it? What would they do? Did they cut it up? I mean, did they sink it somewhere else? We know that there's actually this phenomenal site down off the coast of South America that has like a crazy large exclusionary zone, like a military zone. I can't remember the name of the facility, but essentially you have this giant area down there. They're doing research, underwater research, and you have to wonder, did they sink this thing? Did they drag it, to another location where they could cordon it off and investigate this thing? We know that there have been many sightings of underwater objects. We know that we have pictures. In fact, I'll show you a picture or two from a submarine that were taken of these objects leaving the ocean. Right, so you have these crazy objects. They're coming out of the water, they're going into the water, and now you have an admiral, apparently, allegedly, that says, like, hey, I was tasked to take one of these objects and move it. It doesn't say where it was moved to, it doesn't say what object it was, it just, a mile-long UFO was drugged by, apparently, the Navy to another location. And I find that to be extremely interesting. I find the fact his personal relationships with some of these high-ranking scientists within our own government is equally interesting. So what do you think? Do you think this guy's off his rocker, or do you think this is true? Do you think they're dragging mile-long spacecrafts across the ocean? If you'd like to support our channel, go to the description or in the pinned comment down below. That's the unacceptable news. Don't like, don't subscribe, just run.